Good evening, everybody. Here we are again. How lovely. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're all well. We have something super exciting tonight. Well, it's always exciting, isn't it? We've always got goodies for you, but tonight is an exclusive sneaky peek for you all. So let me know if you're here and if you can hear me, see me on all the usuals. Hi Kathleen, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're well. Have we anybody else out there? I'm sure you're lurking. I can feel you lurking. Hi Sue. I don't know if I might be home alone tonight because Jamie and Pete are having a short, well-deserved break. So I'm hoping they're not going to come and work. They're going to carry on enjoying their holiday, but they might be just watching. I'm sure we'll soon find out. Hi Cap. You alright? Hello Sue. Hello the other Sue. Hello all the Sues. Hi Kim. Isn't this nice? Hi Laura. You alright, love? It's nice, isn't it, getting together with friends like this and chatting all things craft. I really enjoy these little natters that we have. I hope you do too. Well, you must do because you keep coming back, so that's lovely. Hi Joyce. And we've got lots more coming up. All very exciting and all inspirational, hopefully, for all of you. That's what we're all about. That's why we do it, to inspire everybody. Hello May. Hi Bethan. So yeah, as I say, tonight, very exciting, brand new Sue Wilson collection. Hi Sheila. I know we've been giving you some quite cryptic sneaky peeks from what you've all been asking me and comments, so hello Sue. So all will be revealed tonight and hopefully then it will all make sense. So we'll just give a few more people time to jump on and then we'll get looking at these goodies. Hello Deborah, how are you? Thank you so much all of you for joining me again and spending a bit of time. It's nice, isn't it, to be able to do that. Right, well I think we'll get cracking. Excuse the pun. I didn't mean to say that, but you'll understand why I said that once you see. And if that hasn't given you a clue. Okay, let's move on over and have a look at this wonderful new collection. So there we are. It's Easter, of course. Easter and spring. From our lovely Sue Wilson. She's done it again. She's brought us an absolute joyful collection, full of intricate detail, elegant design and usability. What more could you ask for? So there are 12 die sets in this collection. 5 of those are sentiments, so you know that's not all the sort of elements, but let's go through these one by one, shall we? So I'll just gather these up. I'm trying to get them into the right order so I can go through it methodically. Okay, so let's start off with Easter eggs. Why not? That makes sense, doesn't it? So you've got a set here of 5 Easter eggs with lovely detail on them, and these do cut out. So you've got lots of options for infilling the detail, paper piecing. Hi Siobhan, hi Portia. Or for using your double-sided adhesive and all those tricks and tips. Hello Rosie. Imagine these with double-sided adhesive and Crafty Concoctions glitters. Oh, gorgeous. So this is the first one. This is the Easter eggs there are 5 dies with these, so they cut out the whole shape in one fell swoop. And this collection is going to be $11.99 from your retailers. All right, let me show you the boards for these because they are really delicious. So when we cut these out, this is what you will get. So with a variety of sizes, obviously a variety of patterns, and you do get obviously the bits that come out. So if you cut these out in 5 different colours, for instance, then you can just interchange all the bits. So that's quite easy. It's not as complicated as it looks. Hi Hazel. And then you've got these 2 little dinky ones, and this one throws out loads of little blossoms, which are going to be really useful, as you'll see as we go through this collection. So that's your Easter eggs, 5 dies, and that's retailing for $11.99. Okay, so moving on, let me just find somewhere to put these. We're going to have a look at the Happy Spring. Now, I know some of you absolutely love these words that Sue's been doing with all the lovely embossing detail on the letters. So this is quite a large die. It's 2 dies. You get the shadow backdrop and you get the plate which cuts the letters out separately. So this one is retailing at $5.99, and it is a big die. That can be the focal point on your card should you wish it to be. And when we cut this, there are lots of options, even with just 2 dies. So the outside shadow is going to give you this, and the letters are going to give you this, and each of those letters has a gorgeous little emblem on it. So we've got hearts, flowers, we've got a sort of grid, some stripes, some polka dots, little diamond shapes, a sort of scale, fish scaly type pattern, some more dots, a little leafy sprig, some little squares, little cubes, and a zigzag on the G. So really beautiful. Hi Sharon. Hi Sharon. All the Sharons are in the house. So that's what you get when you cut them separately. Obviously when you cut this one, you're left with the aperture. You know me, I love my apertures. So you can then put the letters into the aperture and use it that way. If you cut the 2 dies together, so put them in your die cutting machine as they are here and cut them at the same time, then you get this lovely outline. You do need to save the middles of your letters to make sense of that and just pop those back in. But also equally you can pop in your letters in a different colour perhaps, or back it with this, with some double-sided adhesive on this. That's going to fit perfectly on top, and then you can sparkle through your words. So it's a really versatile set, and that's your Happy Spring, retailing for $5.99. Next we've got the stained glass tulip egg. I think this one is probably going to be one of, if not the most popular. Everybody loves Sue Wilson's stained glass designs, and I think this might be the first time she's done an egg. And this one is stunning. It's 2 dies. The outer edge is all little bunny rabbits chasing themselves around the frame. So when you cut that on its own, it's going to give you a solid shape, which if you have a look here would be the blue. You can cut the stained glass portion on its own and it will give you a freestanding design, which is the white on here. So straight away you can see you can nest those 2 together. Hello everybody. Hi Kim. Hi Angela. And then if you cut them both at the same time, it will cut a separate line here. So that would then give you this as a frame, but this would still be its standalone self. And I don't know if you can see here, but there is a cut line here. So I've cut them separately and then I've set it back in. Now that might be unnecessary because you can just mount it on top, but when you start interchanging colours and doing techniques like stained glass techniques, then that makes a big difference. And also it means that you can use the frame on its own with some of the other eggs or with some of the other emblems that are coming up. Hi Catherine. Hi Emma, hope you're okay. So this is absolutely beautiful, as I say. Two dies in the set. The stained glass tulip egg. This one's going to retail for you at £13.99 once the retailers have got them. They haven't got them yet. I'll tell you more about that in a mo. Then we move on to the Easter Essentials. This is absolutely adorable. We've got a really good mix of things here to use for Easter and spring, or even babies' cards, children's cards, that kind of thing. Hi Mavis. So you've got a little chick, you've got a couple of bunnies, you've even got the bunny's tail to add on here because he's looking over his shoulder, or she's looking over her shoulder. You've got some little blossoms, little flowers, little blossoms here and some leaves. We've got carrots, we've got little tiny Easter eggs, we've got an Easter basket and this adorable little bee. Isn't it gorgeous? And again, these have got fantastic embossed detail. These two little critters have got cut marks, so they can be hugging an egg or a carrot. And yeah, really super cute. So 15 dies in this collection, a nice dinky size. When you cut them out, this is what they're going to look like. Can you see the embossing on those? And I know some of you commented on the photographs how great the embossing was. In fact, somebody even said she thought it was something that had come out of a resin mould. They were so deep, and they really are. It's that super quality that we have with the dies that do this extra embossed detail. So you've got everything there to build up some fantastic little scenes and add into this collection. And then on top of all the creatures, you've got Happy, Easter and Wishes. So you can have Happy Easter, you can have Easter Wishes, you can have all three. You can use the Happy off this one with the big spring off the other one. You can use the big spring with the wishes from this one. Entirely up to you, isn't it? You could use the Happy out of the Happy spring and put it with the Easter. So loads of options once you start to see how these sets all mix and match. Hi Tracy. So this is the Easter Essentials, and this one's going to retail for £13.99, 15 dies. That's not even £1 a die. That's bonkers, but good bonkers. Okay, next we have our little Easter friends. These are so adorable, super cute, little small critters again. 5 dies in this set. This one's going to retail for £5.99. So perhaps if you can't stretch to the bigger collection, you might go for this, and perhaps some eggs. You can still do loads with that. And when you cut these out, this is what they're going to look like. So we've got these cheeky little chicks. I absolutely love this one who's dancing about. It's just gorgeous. It makes me laugh. We've got a leaping bunny, and we've got this bunny who's hugging an egg. So really cute. So 5 little characters in that set, and those are going to retail for £5.99. Super value. Then we come on to something quite unusual, I think. Nesting eggs. That sounds like a pun. Layering eggs, not laying eggs, layering eggs. 11 dies, different sizes of eggs. Now these are going to lend themselves to making panels that you can decorate with all the little creatures. They're going to make frames. They're going to complement the other eggs in the other sets. You can use them to create pages for scrapbooks, all the usuals. This is gorgeous, and you get an 11 of these beautiful egg-shaped dies. The largest one is 4.7 by 6 inches, or 6 inches is going to be the height, and the smallest one is just under an inch by just over an inch. So that's this lovely little one here. These make adorable apertures that you can sit your characters in as well, so that's another idea. And I've just cut them in black and white here and nested them on a piece of card so you can see all the different sizes there. So these are just a plain edge, egg-shaped layering set. Very, very usable. And these are going to be retailing for £14.99 once they've been released. They're not released yet. You can't buy them yet. Then we move on to our chunky blossoms. Now these are going to be usable all year round. Contour lines on a map, yes, Sue. Well spotted. That's a good idea. Spring blossoms, summer blossoms, any time of year. These are gorgeous. Quite diddy, but chunky. I love the sort of graphic style of these. You get 5 different pots, 5 different leaves and 5 different blossoms, and you can mix and match them all across the set. So, yes, it could be an avocado, Emma. When would you put an avocado on a card? Answers on a postcard. So when we cut these out, again, lots of lovely embossing details and gorgeous pots. And some of these pots can be used the other way up. This one looks good the other way up. This one looks good the other way up. The others not so much. Then we've got all these different leaves. Honestly, they're gorgeous. And then 5 different flowers. One that's a little bud kind of blossom. And then these are the 5 tops as well. And I think you could mix these with other flowers that you've got in your sets as well. So lots of opportunities with these ones. So 15 dies in here for $9.99 should you wish to purchase this once it becomes available. Emma, stop it, you're making me laugh. Then we come on to chocolate bunny. It had to be done, didn't it? Had to be done. That's a good idea, Sue. I like that. Chocolate bunny with a ribbon round his neck, gorgeous little eyelashes. Quite a big character, this one, compared to the others. So this one's 1.9 by 2.6 inches. Still not huge, but bigger than those other little fellas. Oh, stop it, Kim. Love it. So I've been splattering. Look, it's got all over my card here. This is the bunny when it's been cut, and I've just inked this one a little bit to bring up the detail. Isn't it lovely? You've got a ribbon around its neck. You can pick out the face, and it's got an arm that you can snip, and then you can rest an egg or a carrot or something in between its paws. And then it's got obviously a little fluffy tail as well, so dig out your fluffy stuff if you've still got some, or you know, embossing powders, that sort of thing. Give it a nice little fluffy tail. So this one is our chocolate bunny, and he's going to cost you £4.49. Bargain bunny. Love it. Chocolate bunny, absolutely gorgeous. And then we come on to a set of 4 stunning sentiments. Sorry about the shine. Stop it. Emma, you've got lots to answer for tonight. So we have Happy Easter, and this is one of Sue's shadow sentiments. So we've got the background shadow, and then we've got the happy and the Easter, and they're cut out as 2 separate words. So if you don't use the shadow, you can arrange those however you like, which is always useful. Then we've got you are one of my favourite peeps, and I think that goes really well with the little chicks, because they say peep peep, don't they? So you're one of my favourite peeps. Again, a decent size, a really lovely mixed font. So you've got some block capitals and some scrolly bits. Then we've got Here Comes the Easter Bunny. So if you just wanted, you know, if you can only stretch to a couple of sets, perhaps that might be something that you'd like to put together. Yeah, I'm sure you are, Emma. So again, this is bigger than it looks on the packet there, but Here Comes the Easter Bunny, and a lovely font on the Easter there as well. And then we've got Your Extra Special. Good pun, play on words, extra special. And there we have that one, the size of that one. So these are lovely when they cut. I've just got here the Happy Easter with its shadow. Your Extra Special, you're one of my favourite peeps, and Here Comes the Easter Bunny. They're lovely, aren't they? And a bit different. So I think they're going to be really usable, and not necessarily just for Easter. Well, obviously the Happy Easter and the Extra and the Easter Bunny, but this one, You Are One of My Favourite Peeps, could be used at any time, couldn't it? So you've got 4 of those. They don't come as a set, they do come individually, and those ones are all $4.99 each. Okay, for your sentiments. So a really lovely collection. Now, let me give you some inspiration. I'm going to start with those lovely Easter eggs, and I've got to say the DT have all done a superb job. So thank you to Christine, Siobhan, Sharon, Jamie and Sue Wilson, and I think that's everybody. If not, I do apologise. I think I'll see as I go through. I have got so many. I'm not going to show you them all because I'm going to be on Hobby Maker this Saturday. This collection is going to be launched exclusively to Hobby Maker on Saturday. I will be on at 1 PM and 5 PM with this collection, and there'll be loads more inspiration. And then it will be released to stockists next Tuesday. So they will be getting it in time for the release day on Tuesday, and then I'll be back next Thursday with the stockists release. So let's have a look at some of these gorgeous creations. So this is Christine, and she's done a whole selection of these lovely Easter eggs, and she's used some off the edge, and the bit she's snipped off she's used again on the other edge. Here again, this one and this one she's snipped, and still used the bits that have cut off. But just by using those contrasting colours on the eggs, isn't that beautiful? And then this is Siobhan's, and I love this one. It's just like a whole concerto of eggs and flowers, and it's just beautiful, isn't it? And all these little things have come off that Easter Essentials set, and then these are the little eggs from the egg set, and then we've got the Your Extra Special in the middle there. Just love that. This one's from Jamie. I love this, just gold, white, elegant, and he's combined the stained glass egg with the other eggs, and you are one of my favourite peeps. And then we have some here from Sue herself, and she's teamed up the eggs with the Easter Bunny, why not, and the Happy Easter sentiment. And then I love this, I love the colours of this. So we've got these solid eggs, and then the lacy eggs over the top. We've got the Happy Spring, and then she's teamed that up with some beautiful nesting dies. So that's a little bit to wet your whistle with the eggs. And next we're going to have a look at the Happy Spring. Let me just grab my samples. So again, I've got some gorgeous samples. This one's from Christine, and she's teamed that up with those little cute critters from the Easter Essentials. And this, I don't know if you can see that, it's a shaker card. Look at that, isn't that stunning? And she's done it in 2 separate little boxes, so there must be separator across the middle here, and we've got pink in the top and lilac in the bottom and coordinating sprinkles. I absolutely adore this. I adore it so much I had to ring her up and ask her where she got it from, the sprinkles, and I ended up spending 30 quid. Thanks, Christine. I've got some on the way. And I love this little chick hanging upside down, look. And because he's got that little cut in his wing, he can hang on to things. So he's hanging on to the edge there. I love it. Then we've got this lovely one. This is from our gorgeous Sharon. And we've got Happy Spring with all those lovely letters. And she's spent an age picking out all the detail with a sparkly pen. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? And this has a little surprise. Not only has she used the nesting egg to create the actual card, but this is an easel card. So when we open that up, there's another egg hiding underneath. How lovely is that? And again, she's used all those little eggs to create a border there, and the little chicks. Well, she's turned them into bluebirds, which is lovely, because that's obviously something you can do. Yes, Christine, thank you. And then she's used those lovely chunky blossoms to add a floral element. Isn't that fab? I love that. Then we have this one from Jamie, and he's used the Happy Spring. He's cut the letters out and used the apertures of the letters, which is great. And he's raised that up and then sunk the letters down, so the letters are actually dropped into there, and the whole front panel is lifted. A very simple card once you know how. Oh, I've lost a pearl. Oh, I'll have to stick one back on for you, Jamie. So a rectangle nesting die to create the panel with the scallop and stitch, and then those letters. So you don't have to be doing phenomenal, you know, creations with this. It can be as simple as that. How beautiful is that? Then this one's from Siobhan, again, bringing in those lovely letters. And what Siobhan's done is cut the shadow background and left the aperture. Put the double-sided adhesive at the back. And then what you do is put your letters in first and then fill up any gaps that are left with glitter. Isn't that pretty? And we've got a smooshy, inky background and those lovely chunky blossoms. I'm liking those more and more when I see them used, and I love the way she's used that inky background to cut the heads, and she's not used the pots, they're growing in the ground, these ones, so isn't that lovely? And then this one's from Sue Wilson herself, and this again I love the colours. It's very pastel ice creamy looking, isn't it? And we've got this is a panel from one of the big birthday words that we were featuring not that long ago. Well, it was before Christmas, but we did feature some of these big happy birthday panels. And Sue's brought that in with the loopy rectangles, and then she's just cut strips of pastel coloured cardstock to make this gorgeous ice creamy background and cut the letters out of the same colours. Isn't that effective? It's just gorgeous. So again, simple ideas but so effective are always the best, really, aren't they? I think sometimes we get a bit daunted because we think we have to do these amazing production numbers, but you really don't. But talking of production numbers, I'm now going to have a look for you at the stained glass egg, because this is beautiful. Here's one that Christine's done using some sparkle Crafty Concoctions coming into this collection again. And that gorgeous stained glass effect with paper piecing, and it's very easy to do. I'm going to show you an egg done like that tonight if I get the chance. And then the Happy Easter running across the front. I just love that. This is from Siobhan, and this is very different. Siobhan's gone down a sort of antique-y route. She's cut the large panel and then cut the filigree panel and stuck them together, and then she's inked with the waxer, touched it up with the waxers to give it that lovely metallic vintage look. Isn't that stunning? A bit of stenciling in the background and a nice inky background. I love that. Gorgeous. Now this is lovely. This is from Sharon, and Sharon's made us a little gift set. She's used glazes to fill in like glass paint, and also some of the Crafty Concoctions glitters. Then we've got the eggs in the background here, all die cut and stuck on, and then I'm guessing she's sprayed over the top of that afterwards. Some of the chunky blossoms, but this one, when you open it, there's a surprise, because look, we have got a beautiful little set of gift cards. You can give the gift of giving handmade to somebody that perhaps doesn't want to or can't do it themselves, and you've even got matching envelopes. Isn't that just beautiful? And because there are a lot of nice little dinky elements to this collection, you can easily make little cards like this. I think these are gorgeous, Sharon. Really lovely. A little bit of stenciling. You can do a lot on a small card. It's surprising. Sometimes it's quite a nice little challenge to make a small card. Christine makes it look easy. She always makes dinky cards. And then we've got all this lovely decoration on the pockets, and we've got all these little chicks bouncing around on the top as well. I just love that. Isn't that lovely? The glazing on that is gorgeous. And we've got Crafty Concoctions glitter in here as well. Beautiful. Love that. And then another glazed one. This is also Sharon. Gorgeous vibrant colours on this one. And she's used the nesting egg for a backdrop. And then we've got our stained glass egg and the Happy Easter featuring on there as well. This is from Sue Wilson. And Sue's done this. She does this a lot, and I love it. And I never think to do it. I wish I could remember. She's coloured the elements with pens, and then she's put double-sided adhesive over the top, put the frame over, So there's 2 layers of frame, and then glittered over the top of all of the colouring. Isn't that just beautiful? Look at the sparkle on that. That's gorgeous, isn't it? And then we've got its own nesting panel, and we've got Happy Spring in a beautiful custard yellow. Gorgeous. And this one's from our lovely Jamie, and Jamie's gone to town with the stained glass effect as well. He's painted this, I think, with enchanted sprinkles. We've certainly got some mica action going on, and beautiful vibrant colours. And I love that it's offset with the black framing, the black sentiment, the black mats and layers, and then this colourful panel here where he's added stripes or splotches of each of the same colours. I think that is beautiful. Love it. Alright, so that's your stained glass egg, and I think for me it's my favourite. I shouldn't have a favourite, but I think that's going to sell probably quickly on Saturday, so if you fancy that one, don't hang about. Right, let's have a look next at the Easter Essentials set. And I'm starting with this one from Siobhan. Siobhan's used an oval nesting panel because an egg on its side might look a little odd, I'm guessing. That's why she's done that. She's teamed it up with one of the older Creative Expressions embossing folders, which are still available, but you'll have to track them down at your stockists if you like these ones. I've got some, and I've actually still got the original stencils that go with them as well. I'm selling them as a pair, so if you're interested in that, well, I shouldn't really say that, should I? But anyway, and then she's teamed it up with the fluted edge rectangles and the pierced pattern detail, and then we've got bits from the Easter Essentials and the Easter Friends. Isn't that just beautiful? A little painted background makes all the difference, and all these little flowers and eggs, they're just beautiful, aren't they? And then we have this lovely one from Christine, so colourful and vibrant, this one. Lots and lots going on, and it's still a dinky card. So she's used the nesting dies to create these eggs. Then we've got the little eggs from the Easter Essentials, the basket, and these little cutesy characters. And the bee, she did tell me she's obsessed with the bee, and he is gorgeous, that little bee. We've got carrots here as well, and some of the blossoms from the chunky flowers, and the Happy Easter there as well. Beautiful. Then we've got this lovely one from Sharon, and Sharon's gone to using one of the triple aperture dies. Perfect when you've got little elements like these for filling up your windows, and you don't have to build a whole big scene if that's not your thing. So, you know, you can just put a couple of these little things in the window. She's filled the basket full of eggs. We've got one of the chunky flowers. So that's another great way that you can utilise this collection. And then we've got this from Sue, and Sue's filled 3 of the baskets with all these goodies. And we've got a basket full of flowers, carrots and eggs. And the rest of the card is relatively simple, but isn't that very striking? Very classy looking, with just this black edge and a black sentiment. I love that. And then she's done this one. This is gorgeous. Using the triple heart aperture slimline die. And we've got those little bunnies and the little chick in very pale pastel pink. This would make a stunning baby card, I think. Christening card, something like that. But these two are clutching their little eggs because they've got these little cuts that allow the arms. You can put a little egg in there. And then some teeny blossoms up on the corners there. And the leaves, all from the Easter Essentials set. And then the Happy Easter, just to finish that off. Isn't that lovely? I love the colours. I know, it's funny, isn't it, when we see other people's ideas, Sharon, and we forget to do it, don't we? Alright, what's next? Easter Friends. So this is from the set that had the five little characters on it. Another one from Christine. I love what she's done. She's cut the eggs out and then used the aperture and just cut irregular blocks around them. No need to measure, just chop with your scissors. And then she's done a nice little painty background and added little elements into those windows. And there's the little bee again. She said she was obsessed. And she's used the Happy from the Easter Essentials and the Spring from the Happy Spring, big letters. Gorgeous, isn't it? This is from Siobhan. Siobhan's done a beautiful ombre blend on that background. That's just fantastic the way she's done that. Bit of splattering, bit of water splattering. The happy spring on its shadow background, and then all these naughty little chicks bouncing about. Isn't it lovely? So many beautiful cards, Sue, and this is not all of them by any stretch. It's probably about half of what I've got to take with me on Saturday, so plenty more to see then as well. Here we have one from Sue, and I love this little leaping bunny. She's created this lovely border. Bring out your embossing folders, get some texture on the background, and that lovely big Easter teamed up with the wishes. And then I love this. I love this. It's just makes me smile. You are one of my favourite peeps, and we've got these little peeping chicks, peep peep, inside these circles from the postage edge nesting dies, making those gorgeous little apertures. Team it up with a border that you've already got lurking about. We've all got something, I think, in our stash, haven't we, that would create a border. And it's just white, black and white, a bit of very, very pale blue in the windows, and then little yellow chicks. I love it, absolutely love it. So that's your little Easter friends. That's the set with 5 little characters on there, and that's the one that's $5.99 to purchase. Then we come on to those nesting dies. These are beautiful. These samples are stunning. So the nesting dies, you get 11 egg-shaped dies, and that's going to retail for $14.99. So here's one from Jamie, classic Jamie. Mats and layers in gold and white, scallop and pierced rectangles, and then he's used the nesting eggs to cut one in vellum and one in white that he's scored to give it some detail, and then gold Happy Easter and tiny little gold blossoms and some gems. Isn't that just beautiful? Very, very classy. And then we've got this one from Sue Wilson, and this one has the 3 little characters. Here comes the Easter bunny, and then 3 nesting eggs in different colours, and then create whatever background you want with that. I think that's really lovely. And then this one, again, doing something a little bit different. So what Sue's done here, she's cut the eggs out and then nested the apertures. So this is, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but this is sunk in. So this is the highest point, and they go in from there. And then we've got our lovely chocolate bunny and some grass from an older die with some eggs hiding in the grass. He's off on his Easter egg hunt. And we've got Happy and Easter. Isn't that lovely? And this one, this is genius. This is Siobhan. Just look at this. Siobhan's used the nesting eggs to create an aperture that she's then used to do some iris folding in there. Isn't that beautiful? And another fabulously blended background. And then Happy Easter. Just beautiful. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. So that is your layering eggs. Let me find what's next. Okay, chunky blossoms next. These are from Sue. I love what she's done here. She's created a diagonal cut on the front of the card and have them all stepping down. And we've got the Happy Spring, big word, to team up with that. Then with this one, she's used them vertically on either side of a square panel with our big chocolate bunny, the Easter eggs in the basket, and a Happy Easter. And then with this one, she's used them to create borders top and bottom, and Happy Spring in the middle there. And again, she's using this glossy white card. I must dig mine out because I've got loads of it, and I never use it. And I look at Sue's when she started using black gloss and white gloss, and I think I love it. I must dig mine out. But she's done the letters in the white gloss, and it's really beautiful. It's just got that soft shine. There you can just see it. And she's used glitter, double-sided adhesive sheet, covered it with glitter, and then added all these little flowers. And it takes no time at all once you've got the idea. And this one's from Jamie. He loves his white on white. I think, well, I do as well. I don't very often do it though because it doesn't show up well on screen, but this is beautiful. So he's used one of the chunky blossoms. We've got the Easter wishes, a little oval from the nesting eggs, and then building that up with layering panels, vellum, and another lovely bow on that one. So that's the chunky blossoms set, which, as I say, I think you'll find usable all year round practically. Maybe not at Christmas, but you never know. If you're in an exotic country, you might have blooms in winter. And then, last but not least, we're getting our chocolate bunny out. Now, I have to say, Siobhan's on fire here. She's created this, and this bunny is made out of felt. It's absolutely tactile and gorgeous. Furry little bunny. Isn't it beautiful? And she's set that on some nesting circles, chosen some daisy blooms and foliage. I think these were from the Essential collection, the original Essential collection. And then we've got the Happy Easter. And we've got the border here from the Shabby Chic collection, I think, that's just been out. So that's just stunning, isn't it? Then we've got this gorgeous colourful one from Sharon. And Sharon's used our bunny here, painted it, inked it, coloured his bow. We've got the chunky blossoms, and she's done the egg with the lattice from Dies to Dots and cut that with one of the eggs as well. That's fab, I love that. And then we've got some of the butterfly corners on here as well. So bringing in older collections, which is a really good idea. Then we've got another dinky one from Christine, and we've got a brown bunny here with a lovely pink ribbon. And on the background, she's put Easter wishes all over, random, and then chopped some of them off. So it's spaced out across the background. And we've got some Crafty Concoctions going in the background there as well. Then we've got some from Sue, and Sue's used her bunny in a shadow box die with some of the other elements. So those little chicks and the bunny and the flowers and a sentiment and the basket. And here we've got the bunny as the feature inside a frame made with the nesting eggs and the happy and the spring, and there's a lovely pink bunny. And then we've got this one with happy spring, all the letters spread out across the background, and then we've got the frame from the stained glass egg, and we've got our little bunny, and he's clutching one of the little eggs from the eggs die set as well. So there we are. That's just a few of the samples I've got to share. I will be sharing more on Saturday on Hobby Maker, so I hope you can join me then. I just want to finally show you this one that Christine did. I just love what she's done with the combination of the big happy from the Happy Spring and the Easter from the Essentials. And she's nested this 4 times, just offset each one slightly to create this fantastic stacked effect on the Easter. And then some of the dinky little blossoms, which again are from the Essentials collection, I believe. And again, just randomly chopped panels in the background. Quite retro, that sort of matting and layering, isn't it? I love that. So I just wanted to show you that one. So thank you all so much for all your lovely efforts. So there we are. That's our fabulous Easter collection. So what do we think? Eh? Aren't they amazing? It is a wow collection, Sue. It really is. I think you can always tell when people have really enjoyed working with something because they go over and above and beyond, and they really have done here. I'm feeling slightly trepidatious about going on Hobby Maker on Saturday with my efforts, but at least I've got all those lovely ones to show. So that's the new Sue Wilson Easter collection. It's released exclusively on Hobby Maker on Saturday. It will be released to stockists on the following Tuesday, when you will be able to track it down with your local stockist and start playing. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. If you can't join me on Saturday, I think if you want it, that's the way to go, because I think it's going to go really quickly, this one. It's so stunning and you're all loving it, so that's a good indication that, you know, it's going to go quite quickly, I think. So I wouldn't hang about. And now you've had a good sneaky peek, you've time to think about which you might like, or whether you're going to go for the whole bundle. So there we are, Easter, and it's not far away. 4th of April is Easter weekend, isn't it? Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, so what else can I tell you? Well, Jamie's back tomorrow from his little trip. Him and Pete have had a nice little well-earned break. They'll be back tomorrow, and then on Saturday I'm on Hobbymaker. So Jamie will be back on Monday with his Monday night natter. I'll be back next Thursday with Stockist launch with this collection, so more inspiration then as well from me. And then on the following Saturday, which will be the 21st, we are going to be at Craftmania. Jamie, myself and Françoise are all going to be there demonstrating various collections and all sorts of goodies. It's going to be fantastic. So if you can make it to Craftmania in Great Yarmouth on Saturday the 21st of February, that would be brilliant. And that's our next demo day. Excuse me. But it is going to involve 3 of us this time, so I won't be on my own. And it's a gorgeous place. The inspiration room, you could just lose yourself in there for days. It's unbelievable. So I hope some of you can make it. I'd love to meet some of you there if you can, and come and have a chat. That'd be really nice. A cup of tea, kettle will be on. What else? So the following Saturday, which will be the 28th, so the 27th, which is the Friday, and the 28th of February, I'm going to be at Sandown Racecourse demonstrating for the Craft Hut, which is quite exciting because it's a huge exhibition. So if any of you are in that vicinity, Sandown Racecourse, I think you probably need to get tickets for that. I don't really know, but it's a big show. So, but I'm going to be demonstrating at that. So that's very exciting. There's lots going on. Honestly, I'm up and down this country like I don't know what. It's fantastic. I love it. And it's lovely to get out and about and meet you all. I might have to buy myself a motorhome so I can just drive about and stay on the road. I think my husband's forgotten what I look like anyway. I never forget one time I was on telly and he rang me afterwards. I was staying overnight, and he rang me and said, "Was that a new dress you were wearing?" Because he hadn't seen me. He hadn't seen it. Oh dear. Oh, Christine, you'll have to come with your mum. Come on. It's only straight across the country from where you are, isn't it? West to east. Zoom. You can do it. That'd be amazing. It's a shame we all do live so far apart, don't we? But occasionally we do manage to meet up at something or other. So yeah, that's really nice. All right, well, I did promise you a little bit of inspiration, so shall we get on with that? Okay, let's move on over to the other camera then. And I want to start with the stained glass tulip egg, which I think is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to show you, the card itself is relatively simple, but I wanted to show you the process of getting my egg done. So I'm going to be using nesting die. I've got my stained glass elements cut already in white card. So this is the background with the running bunnies all around the edge. And then we've got our stained glass panel, and you can see how beautifully that cuts out. So those are the 2 elements that are going to make up my topper, if you like. I've saved some of the white bits when I cut this out. I'll show you why in a bit. And then here I've got some panels that I've created with enchanted sprinkles, which are one of my favourite things. And I'm going to have these on Hobby Maker. I've got 6 colours, and they're the opposite 6 to the ones that Francois had last Saturday. So if you've got 6 from Francois shows and you want to fill up your collection, I've got the other 6 coming up on Saturday. So I will have golden yellow, Christmas red, Christmas green, coral pink, circuit breaker, which I absolutely love, and orchid, which is a really vibrant colour. So those 6 will be available from Hobby Maker on this Saturday the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. So if you haven't seen Enchanted Sprinkles, I will quickly just do a panel for you so that you can see how they work. The only problem is I forgot to get myself a piece of card. Just bear with me a sec. Grab one. So I always like to work in the spray box because they do flirt a bit. It can get everywhere. What I tend to do is make smaller pieces when I want to do something like this, where it's stained glass or paper piecing, that sort of thing. But it depends how you want to work. So I'm just going to wet this card on both sides. Now, with the Enchanted Sprinkles, you can put them on dry. So you can tap them onto dry card and then mist it. In fact, I'll do that on one side. So let's do, what should we do? We'll do the coral pink. I can find it. Oh, what have I done with it? It'll be the last one I come to, you watch. There we are. So this is dry on this side. The side I sprayed is underneath. It was to stop my card from bowing. I'm just going to lightly tap some of the coral pink onto this side. Okay. And then I'm going to mist it. Look how quickly they explode into colour bombs. Isn't that lovely? And depending how much water you add, you can change the way it looks. So if you want more colour, you can also spray it and control where it goes by directing your spray. Well, I can with this because this is a really good spray. It sprays in all angles. And then you can also let it run about and, you know, do all sorts of effects with it. So that's my coral pink, and obviously then just let that dry. Now on the other side, I'm going to do the golden yellow, and what I'll do on this side, I'll wet the card first. I'm obviously going to have a bit of a mix going on here because I've got that coral pink on that side, but the two colours are quite complementary, so it's not too much of a problem. Now I'm trying to do this so you can see. When I tap this into the water, oh, it's must have a little bit stuck in the nozzle. It's not coming out. There we go. Now you can see it explode. As soon as it hits the water, you get these little fireworks. Can you see? Look at that. And they just move on their own. It's fabulous. I love it. It's like a bit of magic. So let's get some of this down. And you can direct how much you want on there, and you can add more water, you can add more powder, you can keep going back and you can layer it until you get the look you want. Difficult when it's wet because obviously it changes as it dries. They dry a little bit softer than they are at this point. So I need a bit more. I've got a big hole in the middle of that. As I say, I wouldn't normally do two colours on one panel like this, but for the purposes of demonstration, I will do it. So you can leave it so it gets these little sort of fossilised lumps in there if you want to. That's really interesting. Or you can add more water and let it do its thing. And then just set it aside and leave it to dry. It will carry on moving and blending, and it'll be really interesting when you come back to it. Or you can force heat it with a heat gun. If you get it to a point where you really like the way it looks, you can turn your heat gun on it and it will stop at that point. But as you know, I like to just let things go and do their own thing. So when that's dried, and I've also done a panel with the Christmas green, and these are the three colours I'm going to use in my stained glass. So look how beautiful these are. So you get these kind of fungally, kind of lichen-y kind of patterns sometimes, where the ink just forms a little ring. That usually happens when you've got a lot of water. This one I got a bit more of an even spread. But look at that gorgeous mica on the surface of that. It's just beautiful. So that's the golden yellow, that was the Christmas green, and this is the coral pink. Now this one, I used loads and loads of water, and then I soaked up a lot of the excess. So I've got a much more even cover in this one. But I have still got some variation and some nice interesting patterns. So that's just a few little tips with your enchanted sprinkles. And when I'm doing something like this and I want to paper piece, I don't necessarily cut the whole pattern out of each colour. You don't need to. So what I've done is cut little pieces and attached it to the die and then die cut it like this. So this is the pink bit. So I've just put the pink where I wanted it, and then cut those little bits out. Otherwise it's a bit wasteful, and you'd be forever making these panels, wouldn't you? So if you just use bits, that little panel will go a long way. But it depends how you want to go about it. But I've got the butterfly and the two tulip heads I've just done in that coral pink, so they're ready to come out of the die now. I've also got some other bits here from my yellow panel, and this is for the background. So I've got all the bits that came out of the background, and then I've got the leafy bits from the green bit. So luckily these are quite simple shapes to fill in, and they're easy to place back where you want them. So that's the leafy bits, that's the background bits, and that's going to be the flower heads. So that's how I've made my tulip up, and I've got spare bits to do more with, which is fun. Right, so before I can do that, I need some way of sticking all these pieces back in. I could just simply glue that down onto there, and then I could use glue and put all the pieces back in, and that would be perfectly fine. But I decided I wanted to make life hard for myself, because we do that, don't we? And I wanted to lift this panel up. So to be able to do that, I need to be able to put a backing panel on it, and that's when your nesting dies are going to come in. So I've got a piece of card here, and I've covered it with double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to cut this egg shape from this panel. So I just need to go to my die cutting machine. Just bear with me a sec, because it's not next to me. Typical. Oh, just rearrange my desk. Hang on a minute. Look. Oh, sorry, I lost my top plate. Right, so I'm just whizzing this through to get myself an oval. Okay, sorry about that, wasn't quite organised. Right, so this is cut, and we've now got a piece of card with the double-sided adhesive on the front. We've also got the aperture. If I'd cut that a little bit better, I could have used that for something else with the frame, but never mind. So this one I've used was from the nesting eggs. It is ever so slightly bigger than this, so you can either, once you've put all your pieces back in, you can either add some glitter to that, or you can just cut a little bit off the edge. What I tend to do is stick this down first and then cut around it. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me find my gadget. So we'll take the other side off the double-sided adhesive and reveal that sticky surface. So this is now sticky all over. So I can place this down onto this oval and just leave that tiny border. Now try not to put your fingers on the sticky surface when you're doing this, because your fingers can cause it to not be very tacky. So I'm using the backing paper that I took off to make sure that's really well pressed down. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim round and take off that edge. I'll do that another time. So now I'm going to use my tweezers, and I decided that I'd leave the frame, the stained glass frame, in the white. So I've got all the bits that came out of this section, and you can just start to put them back. It's also quite useful to have this when you're doing this, so that you don't put your fingers on it accidentally. So you just slot them back into place like that. It's really, really easy, and it's really relaxing to do as well. I really like paper piecing. Excuse me. And these shapes are really, really easy to see where they belong. They're quite large, and it's quite obvious which is which because they're all different. So it's not too bad to do at all. I would recommend having a bit of help with some tweezers perhaps, or if you've got a sticky pickup tool, that sort of thing, that's quite good. Sometimes they don't cope too well with bigger pieces because just the sheer weight of them, but it's good for little pieces, that's for sure. So you probably can't see a great deal here, but I have got now a white border around the floral picture. Once you get used to working out what's leaf and what's flower and what's background, then I think once you look at it and you've done it once, it's much easier. Okay, so I've now got a white border. Can you see that? You can see what's still sticky, and then you can see where I've got the white card. And then I'm going to bring in my pieces for the leaf. Now I have discovered that this leaf only fits one way, and it's not that way. You just offer it up in the space, but don't actually stick it down, and then you can work out which way around it goes. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't normally take all the pieces out of the die like I did. It's only because I was doing it for a demo. I'd take them straight out of the die as I cut them, and then put them in, and then it wouldn't be a problem as to which was what. You see what I mean? Now this one is the stem. It quickly comes to life when you start to do this. It's really super. And then there's this tiny little bit that's the stem on the other flower. That is quite small, but they just pop in really easily. Okay, so now we've got our leaves. Oh, that's not quite right, Gwen. Shove it up a bit. Okay, let's just rub those down so they're all firm. Alright, so now we've got our background bits. This is a funny bit. This goes around all of this area here. So let's just start down here and pop that in. Just moved the antennae of the butterfly so it's not going down right. There we go. You do have a little bit of leeway to move bits, but be careful of any like that. It was just the little antennae on the butterfly and it just moved a little bit, so it stopped this piece going down. There we go. And then this one is on this side here. See how they just slot in? It's a bit like jigsaw, I suppose, in a way. There we go. And now all I've got left to do are the flowers and the butterfly. So let's take these off the die. And this is where I would keep the pieces where I want them. And sometimes you can actually push them directly out of the die into the space if they'll stay, but they won't. They're not doing so. That's all right. Just make sure you get all the bits out of your die. Right, so I think this is this one. Can you see what I'm doing? Right, now in theory, I should be able to pop this over and just gently push those bits through and into place. There we are. So sometimes you can do that, that makes it a little bit quicker. And it does stop you getting them mixed up as well. Now I've lost half that flower, where did that go? There we are. Put that in. There we go. It's coming together nicely, isn't it? And then I've got my bits for my butterfly. So only 3 little bits. Oops. And then just this last little one on the outside. That's the butterfly. Oh, that's a long bit. Oh, I've not put that bit properly. Never mind. I've still got my piece that I made, so I can go back and cut another little. It's just the wing there off the butterfly that I've messed up. No biggie. Get all these bits in, and what this has done now, because I added it onto that oval underneath as well, I've now got a solid backing on it, and that means I can lift it with some foam tape, and that just gives it a whole nother dimension. Get this a tiny bit out. There we go. Again, just give that a press, make sure everything's in there properly, and then just get rid of all of this. Okay, so apart from that little wing that's missing, that's it done. And then I just need to trim off the sticky edge. But I've got a solid backing now that I can add foam tape to. So I can add that onto here and I can lift it. If I don't want to trim that edge off, I could add some fine glitter to that and give it a little sparkly edge. That's another way of doing it. If you don't want to bother cutting it off, that's another way. Okay, so I have got one I did earlier, and it is complete, thankfully. So here we have the finished one, and it's lifted on foam tape, so it's got a bit of dimension to it. You see that? Isn't that lovely? So pretty and so easy to do. Yeah, it takes a bit of time, but what's wrong with that? I don't mind spending a bit of time when it's worth it, isn't it? So there we are. I've got my tape on the back of that already, and I'm going to mount this really simply onto mats and layers. So I've got some beautiful cardstock in a minty green. This is honeydew, and it's the most beautiful spring green. I really love it, and I've teamed that with Jamie's scallop and pierce squares, a couple of layers of those, and then on this piece I've done the scallop and pierce, and I've used an embossing folder to just create a bit of texture to go across the centre. Now I will have this embossing folder on the show on Saturday, so you have been warned if you want it. I think there might be a cheeky deal on it. I'm not sure, but I think there might be. So let's get our foam backing off and make sure the card's the right way around. Always a nightmare. And then pop that on there. And then I've done, if you have a look at my egg, I've put my foam at the top and at the bottom so that that embossed panel, because it's quite deep, so this kind of sits over it like a bridge, because if I put foam all down, it'll end up like bowed in the middle. So just a little tip there, leave yourself a gap if there's something chunky going underneath, and then we can pop this in place. And then I've just added some little minty green pearls to finish that off. And there we have our stained glass egg using enchanted sprinkles. Okay, so that's the first one, and I have got another one, so shall we just crack on with that? I'll just tidy up a little bit. Let me put my eggs back or I'll lose them. So the next one I want to do is going to feature our little Easter bunny. So I'm doing a 7x5 card for this one. I've got a 7x5 white card blank. I've then got some sky blue foundations, and I've cut that with the plain nesting rectangles. You've probably heard me say this before. I like to use them because they give a much more professional finish. They sort of bevel the edge and they sort of bevel the corner, but also if you're using all the nesting dies together, the sizes are perfect, so you don't have to measure anything. You can just find one that fits your card and cut it. So I've done that in the sky blue, and then I've used the plain edge rectangle with the stitch detail that comes from the decal set. You see that? Because you can mix the sets, as you might know by now. So that's what I've done. I've used the fancy detail, but with the plain edge nesting rectangle, and that gives it just a really lovely classy look. And the card's a bit bouncy, so I'm going to open it out. I'm going to mount this panel on the front of my card like so. Okay, and we're off. Then what I've done, I've got the nesting eggs, and I've used two sizes to create a double mat, if you like. So I think it was this one was the larger one, and then actually it's the one I just used on my previous card, so I need that back. This one, so there's one that's in between these two, so it's next but one sizes, and I've cut myself a blue egg-shaped frame with those two. And then I've taken the largest of those two and then the next one down to make a smaller white frame. So I've used those two and cut myself a smaller white frame. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to stack those two together. So I've stored my nesting dies on magnets. It makes them much easier and more accessible. And we do have some Creative Expressions magnets sheets available should you need any. Okay, so I'm going to pop this white frame over the blue, and that's going to give me this double layered effect. Alright, where's my glue gone? It's really easy to do frames like this when your nesting dies are perfectly engineered, so obviously the sizes are going to match up really well. And I actually find these eggs are easier to nest than ovals are. I always have trouble with ovals because I can never get them to look right. I can't get the top and the bottom. You know, sometimes they just do their own thing, don't they? But with these, with an egg, you've got a definite top and a bottom. And I find this actually easier to nest. So I've made my little frame there, look. And then I've cut, well, it was actually the bit that came out of the middle of that, and I've put it through the embossing folder. So we've got this kind of waffle texture. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it'll be available on Saturday. And it's lovely on both sides. It almost looks like a pineapple, that, doesn't it? So that's really quite exciting. It just gave me an idea that you could make that into a pineapple, couldn't you? Well, we've had avocados, let's have a pineapple. But anyway, I'm not going to put that back there. I want to put it underneath, so like that. But again, I want it to lift it Now I've got a really good tip for you. If you've got any of this sort of foam that comes on a sheet, you can cut it on a guillotine and create any size strips you like. So that's what I wanted to use. But what you might not know about foam tape is if you take both sides of the paper off, the actual foam itself is very flexible. So if you get both sides of the paper tape coming off, and then you can actually curl this to fit any shape, and then you just keep peeling it as you're sticking it, pull it away as you're sticking it, and then you can bend it round corners. It's just incredible. And this, if you wanted to do a shaker box, this would be absolutely brilliant because it's continuous. You don't have joins. Where I used to make shaker boxes, things always fall out through the joins. I need a lesson off Christine. She's brilliant at shaker boxes. So peel all the paper off. I'm just trying to do it as I go so I don't get my fingers all stuck to it, but eventually you have to let go. And then curve it around like that. And it's perfect. Look at that. The only trouble is I don't think I've got another piece long enough. I'll have to do it with bits. So take both sides off your paper and then just curve it round. And it doesn't have to be perfect unless you are doing a shaker box, and then you have to be a bit more careful. Let's just get another bit on there. That'll do. There we go. Alright, so I've got a nice smooth application of foam tape on there now. If you've got any of Jamie's on the massive rolls, you can cut that in half to get these narrow strips. That works well as well. Now I've got a dilemma because I don't know which way up I want me. I think I'm going to have it that way, so I'll turn it over that way. And I'm doing it from the back just to make sure I get it in the right place. It's easier, I find, to do it that way. And attach that to the foam tape. And then attach that to the card. Okay. So because this embossing folder is so deep, you just have to make sure you get your glue on these little flat bits. There's like little flat squares. Can you? It's like a bar of chocolate. It's great. You could certainly make a bar of chocolate out of it. Right, and I want this slightly higher. Something like that. And you've got an extra little bit of security from the extra bit of foam tape as well. So we've got our blue and white egg going on, and we've got our embossed pattern in there. And then I've got all these lovely little bits, and I've cut my chocolate bunny out from some brown cardstock. This one is called Hazelnut. It's a gorgeous nutty brown, and it was just seemed perfect for a bunny rabbit. So I've got my little bunny rabbit, and I've got all sorts of other bits going on as well, which I'll talk you through as we go. So what I did, I got a little piece of the yellow card. This is called Marigold, and I just cut that bit in the die to get the rabbit's bow round its neck. If you've cut the rabbit in a pale colour, then obviously you can just colour the ribbon if you wish. But it's really easy to cut them out because they've got these really deep embossed lines, so you just follow the lines. It's cool. And then we'll position this over the original. So that's really nice and easy to do. So now we've got a bow around our bunny's neck. And I wanted to show you a really neat little trick. If I can find the die. Oops, lost a chicken. No. Where's my bunny rabbit? There it is. So this die has got quite a bit of detail, which comes out when you emboss it. But on here, I can't really see its eye. So I'm going to get a black fine liner pen. This is a Pigma Micron. I'm going to put my bunny back in the die. And then I'm going to go through the holes in the die so I can mark his little whisker marks. And I can draw in the eye. And it'll be perfect. It won't be hit and miss me trying to find the right lines or anything like that. Look, it's got little eyelashes and everything. He's so sweet. So that's a little bunny. And then I've got the little basket, and I did pinch this idea from Christine. She dressed it with these little blossoms. These come on the Easter Essentials set, and these little eggs come on the same set. And I've cut these all out of those panels that I made with the Enchanted Sprinkles. So you get lots of sort of variation in the colours, which is really sweet. So I've already started to build the basket, but I want to add a couple more eggs in there. Okay, and I'm just going to add those on now. So what I do is just put some glue at the bottom of the egg and then attach it by looking through from the front like that. It's a lot easier. Can you see that? Oh, aren't they gorgeous? And then I've just got one more to add into the basket. So put the glue along the bottom. And pop it in position from the front and just push down to get it in place. And there's my little basket with flowers and Enchanted Sprinkles colouring. Good, isn't it? I like that. I've got foam on the back of that, but I need a bit more before I stick it down, so I'll just leave that to dry. Then I've also taken a tiny bit of white card, put it across the bunny's tail and cut that, and then cut it out properly, and he can have a little white fluffy tail. But again, if you've got fluffy stuff, you could certainly do that. And just pop that on top. And it really, just those little touches, it really brings these to life. And you might think, oh, it's a bit fiddly, but it's worth it. It really is. And it's quite relaxing. And you just sit and, you could sit and just build a load of, I don't know, you could build half a dozen baskets while you're at it, couldn't you? And then make half a dozen bunnies and all in one go. Can't get it straight now I've said that. There we are. So now he's got a little white tail, which sets him off beautifully, doesn't it? And then I've got all these little blossoms. These came from the Easter Essentials. So on the Easter Essentials, you get a die that has 6 blossoms all on one die. So it cuts them all at the same time. And I did the same thing with these. Once I'd cut them, I put them back in and went through the middle with a pen to colour the middle of the flower, because otherwise it would have looked like a dog's back leg probably if I tried to do it by hand. So that's how I've done that. And now I'm going to decorate the frame. So I've just done a little arrangement of flowers up this corner, and there are 6 little blossoms, so you can pop them wherever you want. Oh, could do with my pick up tool if it's gone walkabout. Never mind. And don't overthink this, just dot them about here and there and overlap a few maybe. Have a little one up there, little daisy down here, have a bigger daisy up there, and a little daisy down there, just like that. Nothing too taxing. And then the little tiny leaves, now they come on one die as well. so it cuts 2 of them at the same time, and I'm just going to stick in a few of those. So I'm going to put glue on the leaf and just pop it in there. And that little tiny bit of green, it makes a huge difference. It really makes them pop. It might be easier to put the glue there actually. You get a left and a right, and you get these little leafy sprays. Quite amazing considering the detail on these, the size of them. It's beautiful. And then I've got one more to fit down the bottom here. You can tuck them under your flowers if your flowers haven't set yet. There we go. Oops. More fingers and thumbs now. Come on. Oh dear. There we are. So there we've got a cute little spray of flowers, haven't we? Really sweet. And we've got our bunny, who's again, I wanted to give it some lift, so he's already got foam on him. Her, he, she, it. It's a rabbit. And we'll put that slightly higher than middle, so we've room for our little basket. Now you could loop the basket through his paws or her paws, but I decided to put it down here, so it's a bit fragile with the handle there. So I've got foam on the back of the basket, and I would put some more on the back of these 2 eggs. I'll do that after because I haven't got them handy. Oh, getting the back off these is a challenge, isn't it, always? Sorry, I should have had it ready done. Come on. And then if you're not careful, it fetches the top layer off and you've no sticky left, have you? Right, so let's pop that onto the frame, something like that. Yeah, it needs a bit of support under there, but I'll do that after. And then I've just put the message here from the Happy Easter. So this is from the Easter Essentials. So there's the Happy and the Wishes. So I've used the Happy and this lovely big scrolly Easter, and I've cut that out of my Enchanted Sprinkles piece of card, and that's my sentiment added onto the card. So there we've got Happy Easter in the same Enchanted Sprinkles, and I love the fact that you get this variation of colour throughout that when you do that. And we've got our little bunny there, basket of flowers, and the little spray up the side. So that's that. These are falling off. Come on, behave. So there we go. So that's a couple of ideas for you. Nothing too taxing, hopefully, for you to have a go at yourself should you wish to get involved with this collection. So that's our fabulous new Sue Wilson Easter collection, launching this Saturday at Hobbymaker, and I'll be there at 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock to talk you through it a bit more. So I hope you can join me, and I hope you've enjoyed tonight. I'll come back and have a chat with you. Oh, thank you all. Your comments are very kind. So what do we think? Do we love it? I do. I really do love it. I think it's such fun, and I love the fact that you can have lovely bright spring colours. It makes you feel like, well, spring is on the way. I've got my bulbs are up in the border outside the back of the shop here, so it's lovely to see that happening, although we have been threatened with snow this week, but I'm fingers crossed. Alrighty, so well, I think that's it from me. I'll just tell you again about important dates. So Saturday the 14th I'll be at Hobbymaker at 1 p.m 5 p.m with the Easter collection, so that's the first chance you'll have to be able to buy it. The following Monday Jamie will be back with his Monday night natter. I don't know what he's doing though, sorry, I can't tell you. Tuesday will be the stockists will have this collection available from Tuesday, and then Thursday next week I will be doing stockist launch with this collection and some more examples and demos and stuff like that. Saturday the 21st I will be, where will I be? Craft Mania in Great Yarmouth, so that's Jamie's shop. Jamie, Francoise and myself will all be demonstrating that day. Can't wait, so excited to go back there again. It was fabulous last time and it will be this time too, so that's going to be amazing. And then on the 27th and 8th of February, so that's Friday, Saturday at the end of the month, I'm going to be at Sandown Show demonstrating for the Craft Hut. So if any of you are in any of those areas, do come and say hello and join us. So once again, thank you for your lovely company. I've had a blast. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday through the telly box. So until then, take care of yourselves and have a lovely evening. God bless. Bye.